My husband Ben accidentally fell off the balcony. Outside the emergency room, the doctor said even if they saved him, he'd be paralyzed for life. Ben managed to say a few words to me. I cried and told the doctor. He said he'd rather die than live like that. I signed the papers and they pulled the plug. 5 minutes later, he was taken to the morgue. For 20 years, I finally waited for this day. On the way to the funeral home, I got a call. It was from Eva, a student Ben had been sponsoring for over 10 years. In my phone, she was noted as mistress. I pursed my lips, tried not to grin too big, and answered the call as calmly as I could. Mom. On the other end, Eva's voice was all sweet. She's a grown adult in grad school but still talks like a kid. Honestly, it makes me uncomfortable. She usually only talks to Ben, and only acknowledges me out of courtesy. What's up? I asked, keeping my voice steady. She wanted to know where Dad was. Why he wasn't responding to her texts or calls. She needed tuition for the new semester, living expenses, fees for a European study trip. Basically everything. I had the speakerphone on. Dad this. Dad that. She repeated so much that even the driver felt something was off. His expression was odd. I silently let her list all her expenses, which amounted to at least 100 grand. Talk about being poor. Can't even cover a measly 100 grand. I didn't say anything, and she got impatient. Whatever, you're not very educated, so you wouldn't understand. Just let Dad know when you see him. I replied he's dead. We're on the way to the crematorium. There was silence for 2 seconds on her end, followed by a roar like a dragon's. Delilah, are you crazy? Why curse Dad like that? You're so evil. She went off attacking me. No wonder Dad doesn't like you. You're old and ugly. And on top of that, your mouth stinks. You wait, I'm telling Dad for sure. I nodded. Yeah. Ben adored this daughter, especially in bed. Young, fair, beautiful, what man wouldn't like that? She thought her affair with Ben was a well-kept secret. I knew 3 years ago. I rubbed my ear, hung up, and snapped a photo of Ben's corpse as a close-up before sending it to Eva. I added a note. Come to the funeral home. You might still catch him before cremation. Eva started bombarding my phone, but I wasn't having it. I blocked her number without hesitation, and the world was suddenly quiet. I hummed a tune as I hit green lights all the way. The driver looked at me through the rearview mirror, speechless, not understanding why someone whose husband just died could be so happy. Eva showed up. My mother-in-law came too. Eva brought backup, a guy with dyed yellow hair, who looked ready for a fight. My husband was burning in the cremation furnace. My mother-in-law just returned from a trip, with a suitcase in hand, and a ridiculous Hawaiian dress on. I shook my head. Mom, have some decency. Your son died and here you are, all dressed up for a party. She lost it, asking me where Ben was. I pointed to the furnace. She was stunned, in disbelief, then cried and wailed, accusing me. You wicked woman. It's your fault. Did you murder him? Why didn't they get a final look? Simple, because I didn't want to see him. I glanced at the furnace, feeling just fine. Even her insults didn't sting much. I'm calling the cops. I'm gonna report you. The old lady was pushing 80. Afraid she'd charge at me and blame me for her fall. I jumped behind the staff. The funeral home was busy, with families mourning, and when they heard her, some turned to look. I innocently explained. He fell off the balcony accidentally. There are witnesses. Call logs, doctor's reports, check for yourself. Mom, sure your last name's that, but don't blame everything on me. Eva with red eyes helped my breathless mother-in-law, snapping accusations. Delilah guilty much? Your actions could be considered concealment. I wasn't fazed. Reading a few legal lines doesn't make you an attorney. She sure thought highly of herself. Neither my mother-in-law nor Eva let up, their voices getting louder each time. Even the staff stepped in, sternly reminding them to respect the other deceased, and that family matters should be taken home. I peeked over from behind the staff. Yeah, this is a family affair. What's it got to do with you, miss? Eva's face changed color. I'm the adopted daughter, so it does concern me. I countered. Ben and I only ever adopted Fiona. Where do you pop out from? While they argued, Ben was done, ashes in a box. An announcement came over the PA. Memorial service for Ben's family in Hall 4. Please proceed. I shouted, here I am. Cremating before memorializing. Only I could pull that off at the funeral home. 20 years as a couple. At least I prepped for this. I spent 10 grand renting a hall for the afternoon so friends and family could say goodbye. But when faced with the urn, everyone looked bewildered. Where's the body? I said, you don't know? He fell from the 20th floor, mangled beyond recognition. I was just sparing you a fright. My mother-in-law shrieked, scolding me for lacking decorum. I was totally innocent. It was my first time losing a husband, no prior experience. In the morning hall, everyone was dressed in grief, crying, and the loudest crier was Eva. Ben had sponsored her for over a decade, from elementary school through grad school. Everyone in the family knew about it. People always said it was rare for financially assisted students to make it to grad school like Eva and have a chance to move up in life. Ben seemed like such a good person. Today, she cried with such genuine emotion. What a model of gratitude. Fiona rolled her eyes at the chatty relatives, too lazy to argue with them. My mother-in-law and Eva cried together, hugging. Now that he's gone, the issue of how to split the estate came up. My mother-in-law asked about it. I casually took out Ben's phone and said, before losing consciousness, my husband recorded his will. Let's just follow that. Since everyone's here today, let's make it official. The recording was from the only time Ben woke up in the hospital. Although he spoke haltingly, his mind was clear, and his expression was coherent. He clearly stated to leave a house to his mother, and the remaining 2 houses along with his bank deposits, stocks, funds, cars, and so on, all to Eva. As for me and my daughter, he didn't mention us at all. Oh, actually not exactly. He did say the furniture was bought by me, so I could take it with me. No way. Someone blurted out. Giving all the inheritance to a sponsored student, instead of his own wife and kid is unheard of. People reacted just like that. But I wasn't surprised in the slightest. Eva, however, was caught between surprise and excitement, with barely suppressed glee on her face. Who would have thought she'd become a rich woman at the funeral parlor? My family was livid, instantly uniting, claiming it was unfair. His assets should be inherited in order of succession. Eva, how could she be a beneficiary? Eva earnestly educated everyone on legal knowledge. The law states that a will takes precedence over the order of inheritance. She explained it pretty clearly. She often read up on inheritance laws and found it handy now. I wasn't in a hurry. I asked everyone to calm down, reminding them this was a memorial, not an accusation session. It was a time to cherish the memory of the deceased. Next, I prepared a surprise for my mother-in-law and Eva. I projected Ben's phone photo album onto a big screen. The first picture was a selfie of him and Eva kissing. As I scrolled down, it was all intimate, suggestive photos, even some bed pics. Given the explicit nature, I just clicked away quickly. Many photos were shot at odd angles, clearly taken secretly. Everyone present needed to cleanse their eyes tonight. Eva was stunned, her lips parted in disbelief. She never expected Ben took sneaky pictures of them in private. I questioned, Eva, why were you in bed with Dad? Was he giving you a physical exam? Wow, you're so filial, returning the favor? Eva was Ben's nickname for her. Someone threw up. My family went ballistic. Oh, turns out you were Ben's mistress. No wonder you coaxed him into spilling my sis's money. Ben funded you all these years. And you repay him by getting into his bed? Shameful. Now the truth was out. My mother-in-law stepped up first. She confidently yelled louder than my family. It's only rightful. This is justice. Eva's carrying our family's only grandson. Why is giving her more a problem? It's Delilah who couldn't bear kids, cutting off our family line. Our money should go to our precious grandchild naturally. It's only rightful. She repeated that 1,000,000 times. Everyone started staring at Eva's slightly protruding belly, thinking it was weight gain, but it turned out she was pregnant. I knew it all along. Before Ben's life support was cut, he told me Eva was pregnant and asked me to be generous and take care of her. So I took care of her first by sending her off. That day, the funeral parlor was as chaotic as a marketplace. Both sides almost came to blows. Even the staff couldn't contain my brothers and nephews. It took the intervention of a burly cop to calm things down. Why all the fuss? Why all the fuss? Please show some respect for the deceased. I assure you, officer, I'll cooperate fully. I hugged Ben's ashes, grinning and saying, fighting over ashes, are we? Not anymore, not anymore. If my husband's fling likes them, let's fulfill her wish. I shoved the urn into Eva's hands, and before she could react, I let go. Ashes scattered everywhere all over her. I was ecstatic, shouting, "Oh no! Eva, can't you hold on tight to your dad? Look, he's all over the place." Eva's face turned ghostly pale as she screamed and jumped away. Ashes to ashes. Ben, goodbye to you. The next day, a video titled "Sponsored Student Snags Benefactor's Entire Estate with Pregnancy. Wife Left Empty-Handed" went viral. The views exceeded 100,000, and the comments were wild, prompting massive shares across social media. The content was sensational, featuring Ben's final words, then photos of him and Eva at luxury venues, both domestic and abroad, luxury goods stores, and fancy cars and houses. The highlight was their intimate photos. Although people's faces and private areas were pixelated, the vague concealment only fueled people's curiosity. Who'd have thought Ben, after death, became an online sensation? The comments were explosive. What is it with old guys? How do you even kiss one? While doing it, does she call him daddy too? That video trended. Eva even had a social media account, portraying herself as a triumphant underdog. Her bio detailed her tragic past as an orphan from a poor family, rising to study in a major city for grad school. In her videos, she shared tips on saving money and finding work-study opportunities. Her content was even followed by the school's official account, inspiring many. But soon, someone doxed her, directing people to her account to attack her, linking everyone to the original video. And just like that, her facade crumbled. Turns out, you can't even maintain a student's lifestyle without $30,000 a year. Guess the real clown was me. Her LV bag is worth 10 years of steamed buns for me. A rural student's rise from poverty. Ladies, take notes. This is how you win without lifting a finger. Of course, there are always some people with bizarre morals bashing her. Why are y'all so jealous? If you have the skills, go find a rich person yourself. She didn't steal or rob. She earned it fair and square. What's it got to do with you? People online were so mad they almost wanted to jump through the internet and punch him. Because of this, Eva's school account got hit with a wave of online attacks. And it wasn't a good look. The school launched an investigation, and Eva was busy explaining. While they were all occupied, I seized the moment, sold the house, the car, and my jewelry, and cashed in $20 million. Then, I hit the luxury stores, bought branded bags and watches, and took a trip to Japan. Came back for a high-end spa treatment at a salon. After all this rough patch, it's my turn to reap some benefits. As a young lady was doing my blackhead removal, my phone rang. It was a text from the court, reminding me of the court summons that arrived at home, asking me to prepare for the suit. My mother-in-law and Eva sued me for maliciously transferring assets, not executing the will. I sold an $8 million waterfront apartment. The buyer showed up to take possession, only to find my mother-in-law and Eva still living inside. We all stared at each other in disbelief. They didn't know I sold the place. People who can afford an expensive waterfront home aren't fools. The new owner immediately asked them to produce the property deed or a rental agreement. They had neither. The new owner gave them 3 days to move out. They refused, so he started dismantling the doors and renovations. Even the police couldn't do much. The owner has authority. The whole mess made quite a splash. But I was in Japan living carefreely, ignoring domestic calls and social media, so their chaos didn't bother me at all. My mother-in-law and Eva had to move back to the old house. Then Eva rushed to look at luxury apartments and put a deposit on a 3-room unit. When it was time to pay the remaining amount, they found Ben's dozen bank cards added up to less than $100,000. Before the trial, Eva went live on her own account, standing before the court with her lawsuit in hand, crying, "Guys, I didn't scam for money or the house. We had plans to marry after having the child. These were all his promises to me." With tears like a pear blossom in the rain, she painted the picture of a pitiful character, a woman driven from her home, pregnant, with nowhere to go. "I believe the law will give me justice." Then she looked down, gently rubbing her belly. "Baby, this time, Mom will be brave and protect you with the law." The security guard shouted, "This is a judicial building. No filming or live broadcasts without permission. Miss, please follow the law." Eva turned off the live stream. In court, Eva berated me with confidence. "I have Ben's recordings. He left all deposits and investments to me for the sake of me and the child. The day Ben got in trouble, she had bought huge insurance and withdrawn over $3 million. This woman maliciously transferred assets. I demand the execution of her assets. Eva was super agitated, frantically loud enough for the judge to hammer down several times. Plaintiff, keep it in check. I haven't called for your statement yet. It's currently the phase for both lawyers to debate. Only then did Eva sit down, clutching her belly. Her lawyer, looking young and promising but unscathed under pressure, just reiterated the lawsuit without personal insights. Then it was our lawyer's turn. The recorded will was made at 2 p.m., but my client bought the insurance at 10 a.m. My client's plan was a rational financial pre-planning, triggered out of deep concern after her husband's unfortunate accident. It counts as reasonable household expenditure, not asset transfer. Furthermore, the fact that my client knew her husband's banking info and transaction passwords shows he had expressly agreed and authorized my client to manage and allocate some assets. Legally, this qualifies as a gift, so the plaintiff is not entitled to a portion. I was calm, secretly giving a thumbs up to the lawyer. I bore it for so many years, working hard for those banking passwords, waiting for this day. Both my mother-in-law and Eva were stunned. The deposits were just small change. The real value was in the property. My mother-in-law shouted, "The house! The house! He said he'd give us the house. And she sold it all." The judge frowned and hammered a few times, telling her to calm down. Plaintiff, present evidence of the property ownership or transaction records. After several pages of evidence, the judge found no copy of the property deed or any purchase records. Looking at the mother-in-law, she shouted loudly, "I've lived in that house for 20 years. Why is proof necessary? Neighbors and property management can vouch for it. The other two were bought after my son's marriage, they're his. There's no property deed." Pointing at me, she venomously said, "This woman schemed long ago, planning for today, hid them and sold them." Eva added, "They should be marital assets, half belonging to Ben. Per the will, I should inherit half too." She also said that since the houses were sold, she'd settle for $15 million from me. Our lawyer was speechless. He threw out evidence. One house was fully purchased by my client before marriage. The other two were personal gifts from my client's parents post-marriage, hence personal property of the woman, unrelated to the man. These are my client's purchase records and the parental gift notary. Therefore, Mr. Lee's will is void in this context. The plaintiff cannot claim my client's property. My mother-in-law was first to be shocked. She shouted, saying Ben told her personally the house was his, he said it himself. I couldn't help but laugh. Sure, Ben made a lot, but it was all spent on food, fun, and keeping mistresses. He liked to brag and look good, telling my mother-in-law he bought the house. Made him look so capable. Back then, I let him save face and didn't expose the truth, leaving my mother-in-law thinking that the house was his. The judge asked if I had anything to add. I asked, "Can I laugh?" The judge was puzzled but nodded. Then I couldn't hold it in, and burst into laughter right there in court. "Eva, do you even know any legal basics? That was my premarital property and personal gift. It has nothing to do with Ben. Can he just give it to you because of a will? If that's the case, then I might as well make a will when I die and divvy up Elon Musk's money. $10 billion to Fiona, $10 billion to my mom, and the rest to charity." Trying to keep a straight face, I laughed and said, "Seriously, please court execute this." The judge slammed his gavel, telling me to get serious. The verdict was out quickly. I put it online immediately. Eva got slammed again, facing a new wave of online ridicule. What's this called? Money hungry? Her antics shocked me beyond belief. Never met such a brazen mistress trying to take the legal wife's property. As long as you're alive, even at 100, you'll hear news every day. The court ruled that half of the remaining savings, stocks, mutual funds, and the car went to Eva and my mother-in-law. Ben used to dabble in stocks and got burned. His stocks, once worth millions, dwindled to just over 10 grand. The car he bought for $80,000 years back had depreciated over the years, now worth just a few thousand. I couldn't be bothered to maintain that junk. I did some math. Eva got about $20,000 from Ben's estate. For regular folks, $20,000 can last for a while. But she was spoiled, spent big, and now this amount wasn't enough. She's not satisfied with the judgment and wants to appeal. She doesn't want to share, she wants it all. But before she could appeal, I dropped a bombshell. Now for my counterattack. I pulled bank statements, message and e-pay records from Ben's phone, along with their travel expenses both domestic and abroad. I traced to 2.5 million that Ben transferred to a third party without my consent from our joint assets. When Eva got the court summons, she called me in a fury yelling, "How dare you sue me?" That was his support for me. I snapped back, "Think about what you're saying. Who finances a student down to the sheets?" Court day. It was my mother-in-law's turn to act. Eva went live again, filming my mother-in-law. She knelt at the courthouse entrance, cursing me for being heartless, pushing them to the edge. Claimed I was a millionaire squeezing a pregnant woman. She had no shame. Didn't care about others' opinions. Her act was intense, with her gray-haired old self bawling, holding a sign with my photo and ID number, listing 10 of my supposed sins in bold red letters. Things like not respecting in-laws, not having kids after years of marriage, not giving them my entire paycheck. Passers-by whispered, pointed. Today, I dressed plainly and looked messy, carrying a burlap bag full of materials. Each time the mother-in-law stopped, I chimed in. Folks, see here. Ben abused me over 20 times in all these police records. The mother-in-law was startled, quickly changing the subject. I pressed on. Ben made $50K a year, never contributed a dime. Our adopted daughter, household expenses, family visits. I covered all this over decades. Didn't he spend all his money on you and the mistress? How are you broke? Eva lost it, ended the live stream. But my adopted daughter was still recording, and I blurted into the camera sobbing. My friends, judge for yourselves. Which family abandons wife and kid? Squandering on some poverty-stricken student living in luxury, flaunting designer bags and touring Europe, staying in 5-star hotels. I was on a roll, pointing at Eva. Passers-by gazed, expressions varied. Eva looked furious, lunging at me. But I dodged nimbly as if I were an old lady dancing, narrowly evading her. I wept loudly. Don't touch me, I have high blood pressure. Giving my mother-in-law a taste of her own medicine. Finally, the guards couldn't take it, picked up a bullhorn and shouted, "This is a judicial institution. No recording or filming without permission. Miss Ma'am, obey the law." I immediately quieted down. Law-abiding citizen I am. Given her last loss, they switched lawyers this time. As luck would have it, I switched lawyers too. Mine is a famous expert in dealing with mistresses. In court, my lawyer cited references confidently. Our standpoint is that since Ms. Eva's start in freshman year, she maintained an inappropriate relationship with Mr. Ben. During this time, the financial support Mr. Ben provided to Ms. Eva significantly exceeded normal student expenses for study and living. This amount should not be deemed as support. It was unauthorized by our client, and we demand its full return. Eva's lawyer countered. The Europe trip was an educational school trip. Payments were normal expenses. I counter-argued. Who sends living expenses with numbers like 13, 14, 520? Adding zeros, multiple zeros behind? 2 plane tickets to Europe for school and booked just 1 room? Enough, you're embarrassing yourself. The opposing lawyer looked frustrated. But he's just doing his job, has to defend his client no matter how far-fetched. By the end, even the judge's face was grim. The ruling came quickly again. Except for some evidence-less claims, most of my demands were supported. The court ordered her to return over 100,000. Honestly, I almost felt sorry for her. Eva playing rich while claiming poverty, living like royalty, having no interest in saving or investing. I wonder if she even has the money. Sure enough, I waited and waited, but nothing. She brazenly taunted. I'll tell you, I have no money. What if you win? Hang on to that verdict, and die old with it. That's hilarious. Doesn't she know that being a deadbeat can land her on a blacklist? I'm not afraid to face off with her. The very next day, I went to court to apply for enforcement and made copies of the court judgments from both hearings. I sent them to her school's office, filing a complaint against her under my real name for misconduct. Soon enough, the school revoked her low-income student status and expelled her. Eva wasn't going to graduate, and that ending was satisfying. Her account stirred up quite the buzz, with everyone commenting, "Justice never delays. Thank you, school, for correcting this bad behavior and preserving the reputation of us low-income students." Eva became like a street rat, despised by everyone. But whether it's infamy or fame, she was still trending. Eva quickly capitalized on this newfound attention. After her account went silent for a month, the narrative shifted. Her status message read, "Starting fresh from rock bottom. And boy, isn't it rock bottom? Pregnant out of wedlock, dropped out of grad school, on the deadbeat list. And let's not forget a mother-in-law halfway to the grave praying for a grandson. The hardships were stacked up high, but soon she turned things around. Lying on my couch, I watched her latest live stream. By then, she had moved into a new 3-bedroom, lavishly decorated. On camera, her eyes were red. My relationship with John isn't about the money. I'm grateful for his support through school. Besides tuition, I've paid back everything else. Here are the transfer records. This house was bought with the money I earned from work-study jobs. I'll work hard and make a living to support my baby. Just then, I received a text from the court. Eva had paid over $1 million, and I was notified to bring my ID and bank card to collect it. Eva's account was buzzing, and she began showcasing baby products on camera, full of confidence and pride. I smirked. This was just the beginning. There's a bigger bombshell in store. Just wait. I picked up my phone and dialed Delilah 0. And started right away. Officer, I suspect my husband was murdered. The sirens wailed, and soon Officer Hat showed up. I welcomed them into my home. Since Ben's incident, I hadn't stayed there. The police had already investigated the day it happened, concluding it was an accident due to deteriorated railings. I hadn't managed to sell the house since. That day, as I was sorting through things and checking the surveillance, I found Eva had used a key to enter my home multiple times before Ben's accident, often bringing tools to the balcony. Every year I bought accident insurance for my family, just a few $100. Yesterday, when I went to claim the insurance, the staff told me Eva applied for accident insurance for Ben, with a coverage of $1.5 million. Who knows if she did the same with other companies? Hearing this, the police sensed something off. The large insurance policies, the accident, and Eva's newfound wealth made them think of something else, like the movie playing on my living room TV, The Vanishing. The investigators moved quickly, launching a full-fledged investigation while summoning Eva. She acted naturally, claiming she was just sneaking in while I was out to help get clothes for my husband. As for the tools, she said she bought them for repairs and took them along by chance. After leaving the station, Eva was furious and yelled at me. If you're really forgetful, see a doctor instead of slandering me without evidence. I will sue you for defamation. Blocking out her yapping, I plugged my ears, called for a ride, and left. From the back seat, I saw Eva strutting around in heels through the side mirror, with a self-satisfied look. Then her video account found new material. She cried online, claiming I wronged her, tearfully lamenting before Ben's picture, accusing me of pushing her when she was already down after taking money from her. Her story twisted the truth. While she pocketed big insurance payouts, she played the part of a struggling victim. Amid her drama, she looked pale, clinging to her round belly, all tragic-like. Emotionally charged, she easily stirred up another wave of sympathy online. Whatever, she's a pregnant woman after all. Maybe it's time to take a step back and let things cool for now. Why would she commit murder when she's pregnant? It defies all logic. With this video, Eva began to clean up her image and even started live selling. But karma hit back fast. Insurance companies soon discovered Eva had bought massive accident policies for Ben from multiple providers, totaling several million. Suspicious of a murder for insurance scheme, they called the police. A week later, during a live stream, while giggling and thanking a top contributor for gifting her a rocket, a group of officers burst in, quickly pinning her down. Live, she was cuffed with everyone watching. Whoa, did she actually commit murder? Keep the stream going, I need to see what happens next. Just then, I posted a comment, I'm the murdered husband's wife. To find out what happens, follow me. There was a vacant unit across from my apartment with surveillance, perfectly capturing my balcony. The police contacted the owner and retrieved the footage, clearly showing Eva tampering with the railings 2 months prior. Experts confirmed the railings were intentionally sabotaged, showing repeated damage at critical points. On the day Ben fell, he was resting against the railings, oblivious to the danger. The truth was unveiled. Eva was charged with murder. She denied everything. But it didn't stop the prosecutors from charging her, and the insurance companies from filing fraud charges. The police called me to the station to discuss a potential civil suit. At the station, I bumped into my mother-in-law, who wouldn't stop shouting her disbelief. Isn't she just a suspect? If so, then she's definitely not the killer. It's clear Delilah's framing her. She's pregnant with my son's baby. So how could she possibly kill him? Officers, you must have made a mistake. Grandma saw me and suddenly turned her accusations on me, pointing the finger. It's all your fault. You wretched woman. You're the murderer. Afraid she'd falsely accuse me, I quickly ducked behind a police officer for cover. Hey, watch it. Don't come any closer, or I'll call the cops on you. The female cop I used as a shield didn't look too amused. Officers, protect me. She was really worked up, and the officers tried to calm her down. Listening in, I found out she had been camping out at the precinct for 2 days, trying to pressure them to release someone. I swear, that baby is the only grandson of the Lee family. If something happens to him, it's on you for negligence. Then she collapsed, rolling on the floor like a child, beating her chest and crying. The police are hurting my family. There's no justice. If you don't let her go, I'll die right here. No matter how many officers tried, they couldn't calm her down. She was playing the old age card hard, and no one dared lay a hand on her. Her voice filled the precinct, and the cops were rolling their eyes. I took off my sunglasses. Guess I'd have to handle this. Aunt, do you know why I haven't had a child in over a decade? She looked stunned for a moment, then snarled. Because you're the one who's barren. A hen who can't lay eggs. And yet you won't divorce, leaving my son without an heir. I wagged a finger. Nope, wrong. I pulled out a few reports and said, after I lost my first child, I couldn't get pregnant again. So Ben and I both got checked out. Guess what? He's got a low sperm count. I held up another, 10 years ago still low. And another. This one's a doozy, 5 years ago 0 sperm count. There's no way you can't do it when you're young, but can when you're older. The doctor said his chance of natural conception is next to none. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I never told him or you. Aunt, if I were you, I'd really look into whose baby Eva is carrying. She was stunned into silence. The cops had their jaws practically on the floor, first looking at me then at her. At this point, the police brought Eva out. She heard what I said and shrieked, lies. The baby is definitely Ben's. You nasty woman, so venomous. Just because you can't conceive, you curse Ben. I added, Aunt, criminal litigation with lawyer fees is going to cost tens of thousands. Have you fronted that money yet? Suddenly, Aunt seemed to smarten up. She's willing to walk through fire for her son and grandson. But if there's any doubt about the paternity, she wouldn't be played for a fool. She demanded a genetic test between Eva's baby and the family. Eva agreed right away. I was a bit surprised. A week later, I got a call from the hospital. Aunt had a stroke and was in the hospital. They wanted me to settle the bill. Apparently, she took one look at that genetic report and immediately had a stroke. The report was still with her things. I took a peek. Sure enough, Eva's baby had absolutely no blood relation to the family. Settle the bill? Not my responsibility. She's got her pension, and whatever she squirreled away from her son's earnings. And how did she even think of giving the hospital my number? Daring move. I'm not the Delilah I used to be. Ben's gone, and I owe her nothing. With that, I walked out, not dropping a dime. Plenty of people owe money. The hospital can find a way to get their fees. Few days later, Aunt was discharged, and again I got a call. They said she's partially paralyzed and can't live alone. They were asking me to take her home. The call was passed to Aunt, and she croaked out something. All I caught was regret, and realizing I was the only capable one who could care for her now. I shot her a number for a nursing home. You always said you didn't need me, that your son and grandson were everything, and a woman like me was nothing. I'm respecting your wishes. Her pension could cover the costs. I was done. After I hung up, I called my attorney. I'm suing Eva for civil damages. She must have bought a lot of brand name bags, clothes, and jewelry with Ben's money. I want all of it back. I left the legal stuff to my lawyer. Eva went into labor on the eve of the trial. The cops took her bleach-haired brother to the hospital for a paternity test. The baby was his. They told him to take responsibility as the child's legal guardian. Rumor had it, the hospital was a circus that day. Eva went ballistic on him. Didn't you use protection? How am I pregnant? Bleach hair felt hard done by. So many times nothing happened. Who knew that time would be it? Newly graduated with a mountain of student loans, he couldn't handle a kid. They fought loudly in the hospital room until the police reminded them. Adults must own up to their actions. Since he was the dad, Ditching the child could lead to abandonment charges. In the end, he did take the baby. A month later, the trial began. I kept my followers up to date on how things were going. After the first hearing, we waited for the verdict. I called up a handyman to seal off my balcony railings. Those old ones rust too easily. I wasn't taking any more chances. The handyman nodded, pointing out how unreliable they were. I've been living in this house for 20 years, since I got married. No one knows the details of this place better than me. How many tiles there are, where the cracks are, what's broken. I know the balcony railing has always had issues. Ben has this habit of leaning against it to smoke and chat on the phone. 3 years ago, when I caught him cheating with Eva, I installed a hidden camera at home. That's when I discovered he'd brought Eva over countless times when I wasn't home. Eva would wear my nightgown, flaunting herself in front of him. They'd strip down in the living room and twist into the guest room. It was sickening. Whenever Eva came over, my mother-in-law would keep watch. Afterward, she would giggle. The camera records audio, so I heard her clearly say, "Eva, once you graduate, I'll have Ben divorce that woman who can't have kids to give me a chubby grandbaby." The camera caught other things too, like my mother-in-law telling Ben, when she first got pregnant after marrying in, "Thank goodness you made her lose the baby. With her condition, she'd only have one kid, and you'd be tied down. But Eva looks fertile. Move quickly, have her give birth to several. We've got money, we can afford it. This time, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. Just have one. The country allows multiple children now, unlike before." She rambled on and on in front of the camera. Listening to it made my heart freeze. Finally, I understood why Ben hit me when I was pregnant. My mother-in-law had asked some so-called expert who said I was having a girl. And back then Ben was just a small-time leader. We only had a one-child policy. My mother-in-law dreamed of a grandson, and Ben, with his macho mindset, listened to his mom. He picked a fight and caused me to miscarry. Ben was blowing smoke rings and laughing without a care. The camera had been filming for 6 months. I saw Eva bringing tools onto my balcony, but I pretended not to see. After that, I was away from home even more often. She was always in and out. I acted like I saw nothing, absolutely nothing. But I bought the unit across from ours using a distant family member's name, and set up surveillance there too. Each time I stepped onto the balcony, I was extra careful. I noticed the railing had loosened. One day, Ben confronted me and said he and Eva were in love. Eva was young, healthy, and could give him sons. He wanted a divorce. If I hadn't known about his affair, I'd have divorced him long ago. But now I refused. "Ben, right after we got married, if you hadn't beaten me and caused me to lose the baby, our child would be a college student by now. Unless you walk away with nothing and cough up all the money you gave Eva, don't even think I'll agree to divorce." I shouted, "Even if it kills me, I'll keep your spouse line occupied. When you're sick or in the hospital, I'll be there to sign off and pull the plug." Ben slapped me again. We had a massive argument, and I stormed out to buy groceries. Downstairs, I looked up and saw him leaning against the balcony again, smoking and talking, lips flapping away. Who knows what he was saying about me? That day a typhoon was blowing. The wind was fierce. Then he just fell. Bam! He hit the canopy below, rolled onto the sidewalk, and ended up looking like a smashed tomato. Great. Pulling the plug on a jerk felt amazing. While having afternoon tea by the Seine, I got a call from the nursing home. They said my mother-in-law needed level 1 care, and it would cost more. She'd left them my contact info, which made me laugh angrily. I've got nothing to do with her. If there's no money, just toss her out. 2 weeks later, my mother-in-law passed away. Another one down. The nursing home asked me to handle her posthumous affairs. I hung up immediately. Bad vibes. It took a year, but the missing persons case finally saw progress. Eva was found guilty of murder to defraud insurance, given a 35-year suspended sentence. I posted the verdict on my social media. The outcome was so satisfying. Poor kid though, vanished dad, murderous mom, what a rough start. I heard the woman left the kid at an orphanage and disappeared. The community workers contacted the grandparents in her hometown. They were too poor, just some farmers in a remote mountain village, with no ability to raise another kid. The child ended up back at the orphanage, an orphan now. People were outraged. How does she get a suspended sentence for murder? Give her a lesser sentence later, and she'll be out after a few decades. Murderers should be put to death. Serving decades behind bars has got to be worse than dying though. I wonder if Eva regrets it in prison now. The court froze her designer bags and even the utensils from her house, auctioning them online. Good on them. They managed to secure tens of thousands of dollars for me. Her life is over. Mine is just getting started.